All right, so technically I don't have an intro for this yet. I'm still working on it. Did you guys like the snazzy new intro? Well, it's not new really. It's an old song from Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, and we'll actually talk about yes, but we're not here to talk about Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door. We're here to talk about all the stuff that we've been doing during this quarantine in this new podcast that we are calling the Quarantine Chronicles. To my virtual left, I got Jason.
Hi.
To my virtual right, I got Angel.
What's up? Right hand.
My name's.
Did you purposely give me the left because I'm left-handed?
Yeah, let's go with that.
I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. You're nailing this first intro. Left-hand synergy. You're doing great.
Yeah, that was totally planned right from the beginning.
Totally.
Yeah. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty well. How about you guys?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
I can't complain.
I wonder how many people have had this start playing and be like, "What?" Because this is totally out of sync for us. Like, do you want to explain what's going on? Kind of like this is a whole new ball game.
Yeah. So this is a brand new podcast that we're launching. Basically, there is a lot of non-Nintendo stuff going around in our lives that we would like to talk about, whether it's like movies, TV shows, even other video games. Me and Angel, we're multi-platform gamers.
As
Jason,
normal listeners know, bring up God of War or Resident Evil or
right. And so, of course, it doesn't seem fair to bring up multi-platform stuff on the Random Nintendo podcast because, of course, that's dedicated to all Nintendo. So we decided to make. Originally, I think we sort of thought of this as more as a multi-platform podcast for like a multi-platform video game podcast. But then, we also want to talk about all the movies that we've been watching, all the TV shows that's going on because, well, we're in LA and we have stay-at-home orders from the state and, we're just going to follow them and we're just going to consume a bunch more stuff than we usually do.
Already have been, really.
Media. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much why we created it.
You had a good way to describe it when we were planning this is the random of Random Nintendo. If the normal show's the podcast, the Nintendo, this is the random. And 9 years in, we finally live up to our name fully. So it's a good idea.
Especially with what's coming down the line. But anyways, so we're going to be talking about everything, really. Probably not the news because the news is terrible nowadays. And who knows, maybe once this quarantine ends, we could almost evolve this podcast into something else, assuming that everybody likes what we're doing here.
And this doesn't necessarily mean like the regular show's going anywhere. If you guys have listened to the regular one, that's staying put every other Sunday. This will alternate the off Sunday. So basically you get double us, whether you want it or not, really.
Well, yeah, you're getting weekly podcasts now.
Yeah.
As opposed to bi-weekly. But
I hate that word.
For the
you hate the word bi-weekly?
Just the fact that you have to explain do you mean twice a week or twice a month?
Or
every other week or bi-monthly. I mean, it's the same, or biannual.
But then what's confusing is if we were to do the equivalent to like semi-annual is twice a year, but semi-weekly sounds like it's like
twice a week.
Yeah. so that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
I guess we could do semi-monthly, but that sounds that just doesn't flow well.
Yeah, English is whack. But yeah.
Sure is.
English is pretty whack. All right, so in the unsmoothest of transitions, let's talk about some video games, shall we? I think I only have something on the docket this week. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Boy, is that a video game.
Wait, did you
Let
beat
me
it?
tell you, folks. Yes, I did beat it. I'm currently playing...
I have questions.
Yes, it took me... Oh, and we should... We're going to get to some movies and TV shows later on. If we do spoilers for that, we will do spoiler warnings. I won't be talking about any spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. And
also, I have to do it. It's in my blood. There are timestamps for those who want to know what we're talking about on the blog post at randomtown.com. I feel so much better now. Whew.
Yes,
I could feel Jason's fish shaking. It's he's not saying it.
It's the timestamps.
Don't worry, folks. I will get better at this. Also, it's in the blog post, but we're totally winging this. Usually on the Random Nintendo podcast, Jason structures everything. And
If you
Yeah,
couldn't
like a
tell.
conductor.
we try to make this a more casual podcast. So a little bit more conversational.
Yeah, we're not as stressed out during it, so it should
Yeah.
You guys are stressed out during the regular one? Let's dive into that for... No,
We're
if anything,
just
I'm the one
chopping
putting
it
it all
up, you know.
together. Yeah, okay.
We're just chopping it up. This podcast is basically the what are you playing from Random Nintendo,
But also
script-
watching...
It's just
and
what you're
and watching.
consuming. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. What are you?
What is
consuming?
entering your brain,
Yeah.
the podcast?
Consuming works.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to talk about food, we could talk about food. But I don't think we've eaten anything interesting this week.
I don't know. I had dark chocolate Oreos for the first time yesterday and
I've been
today.
craving some sushi.
They're
like,
good.
Nobody's business.
See, look what happens. Look what happens when there's no structure, guys. Sushi and Oreos simultaneously. What?
Within the first 6 minutes of the podcast.
I know. We're off to really a great start.
Okay, so
So
what
Final
was that?
Fantasy. Yeah, tell us about Final Fantasy.
So Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably going to be my game of the year. I'm already calling it. As long as from the multi-platform side, and you guys know how excited I've been for Cyberpunk 2077. So the fact that I'm even considering Final Fantasy Remake for my game of the year, it's insane to me.
Now,
This
do
game
you
is so good. Yeah.
question? Do you expect? So you're saying you're already considering for a game of the year. Do you expect to actually stay true to that? You know what I mean? Like, because you could say it's in the running, but do you, from what you've played versus what you've seen with Cyberpunk, actually think when Cyberpunk comes and goes, you're like, nope, still 7?
You know,
Is
what?
it
I
really
think-
that high running for you? Like high up in the
I think
ladder?
it might be because of the expectations that I've set for myself for Cyberpunk 2077, where when I came into Final Fantasy VII Remake, we'll just call it FF7 or Final Fantasy VII for shorthand, I had no expectations going in.
Right. Okay.
You played the originals, right? I know I've asked this before, but
Yes, I've played and beaten most of the originals, but most of the originals I beat. Man, Final Fantasy VII I beat when, I don't know, maybe early PS2 years, like when the PS2 came out, and I bought it and just to play it on my PS2. So who knows?
Okay.
I don't even remember how long that's
I'm
been.
definitely just because I'm really curious because a lot of my coworkers have obviously played this game already, and they were on two camps. Either they played the original, and everyone that's played the original has been kind of like you, like, oh, this is the best game of the year. I love it. And the ones that played it but didn't play the original had always had qualms with something, and were like, it was alright. I mean, I liked it. Or they either liked the story and didn't like the combat, or they liked the combat and didn't like some of the level design. I don't know. They always have something.
I've seen
don't
the
know.
same online
combat.
where it's like if you don't have the nostalgia for the original, however long ago that nostalgia was, in your case, Kevin, obviously a little later, the thing I've seen online a lot is people that have gone in blind are like, well, what's the big deal? And people who have the nostalgia are all about it. It's very much like Angel and my Star Fox 64 debates we've had time and time again, where like I love every remake of 64 because it's like, this is amazing. I remember this back in the day, but he's just like, but there's different, better things.
Yeah,
since.
I'm like, it's boring.
So,
There's not much going on.
he does raise a good question. I think that like, how much do you think is?
I mean, obviously, it
your
could still be
fandom?
like, yeah, like for a Kevin game, it could still be like undeniably game of the year. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
can you bring out like objective Kevin and be like, yeah, I would still say it holds up even if you don't have any of that, nostalgia.
So to your point, Angel, your coworkers, where the ones that don't have nostalgia, the ones that didn't originally play, I can understand maybe on the story front why they would think it's all right, especially some of the revelations that happened at the end of this game. But from the combat side, I think this is the best combat in any action RPG game I've ever played in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
even
Is it-
Tales.
Oh, well, I mean, I haven't played a lot of Tales games to make that distinction, I think.
They're kind of like RPG Smash Brothers, so it's kind of why like it's hard for me to not love them.
That's actually a really apt description from what I remember from Symphonia.
That kind of makes sense. I'd probably compare those a little bit more to like Power Stone. Well, I guess Power Stone is just like a 3D
Power Stone is
Smash.
just Arena Smash Brothers.
No,
So what is
There
the
you go.
combat in 7 actually kind of like? Like how fast are we talking? Because he has a big old sword. Is that thing heavy? Does it move slow, or is it like really rapid fire, like almost like Astral Chain or something like that. Where it's just
Oh
boom,
yeah,
boom.
it's absolutely a rapid fire Astral Chain anime goodness. Like, so for those who don't know Final Fantasy VII back in the day, they were all pretty much turn based, and you guys know how the ATB used to work, right? The active time battle gauge.
I think that sounds familiar.
It's basically you're waiting for a gauge to fill up, and then you would have the option to use a spell or attack, that kind of thing.
Oh, sure.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
So in this game, you still have the ATB gauge, but you're controlling Cloud just like you would, let's say, Sora in Kingdom Hearts, right? As you're dealing damage with Cloud or there's 4 playable characters in this game. When you're dealing with them, you're speeding up the rate of the gauge, and then once you have a bar filled, you can then use a spell or a special ability, and you're essentially micromanaging 3 characters during like the later stages, and you can switch freely between them. And it's just it's so solid. It feels heavy. It feels so good. The materia system, which is basically like your spells and stuff like that, the synergy that you can have between all characters, I just don't know how to explain this. I honestly don't know how I honestly don't know how Cyberpunk might beat this. Not only that, this game has amazing boss battles. There's a late game boss battle that, man, it's a short boss battle, but it's probably, and from all the spoiler casts that I've listened to about this, because I absolutely needed to talk or at least hear some people talk about this game, that late boss battle is like everybody's favorite too. It's so well designed. The game is padded a little bit, especially like in the middle, but I was having so much fun with the combat that I didn't even really care.
The way you were at a loss of words a minute ago made me realize, because I feel like the last couple of regular podcasts, I kept going like, how's Final Fantasy VII? And you're like, oh, it's okay, it's good. And you weren't really talking about it. That's right, you made a whole separate show to gush about Final Fantasy VII. And then when you got there, you realized you were still speechless about how much you liked Final Fantasy VII. And now here we are. But it sounds like it's really, like, it sounds like you're really liking it. The fact that they couldn't actually say it.
It's funny because this year I've been playing nothing but remasters and remakes. I played Tokyo Mirage Sessions,
right.
A remaster. Persona 5 Royal, an enhanced edition. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be playing Catherine Full Body at some point.
The Switch one?
The Switch one, yeah, correct.
Yeah, in July.
Yeah, in July. I'll be playing that. The only new game that I can...
July.
I know.
Mario and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's a big month. Who would have thought the slowest month is now a big month?
Right, and like the only game in the horizon that I feel like might even go toe to toe with this Cyberpunk 2077, and that's obviously going to be a bigger game. That's an open world game. This game took me 40 hours to complete, and that was just like a normal mode. You do unlock a hard mode, which
that sounds like normal RPG. Not really do a lot of the side quest kind of time.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, at least like in the Tales games, like whenever like I just get to the end, like doing not that many side quests, on average they end up being like around 40 hours. Mm-hmm. I feel like 40 hours is like the average. At least like from all the RPGs I've played, it's always like around 40 hours if you don't really do much else.
Oh, sure, yeah. And like aside from the gameplay factor, I think the story's great. They took some of the side characters and made them like fully fleshed out characters, which I think is great. They like the fact that they make you feel for the side characters when they were just like, I mean, they weren't afterthoughts in Final Fantasy VII, but they were definitely just like side characters that were introduced within a second and gone within the next. It's the voice acting is incredible. I just can't gush enough about this video game. It's by far it's going to be hard to top this for my game of the year. Maybe Paper Mario can take it, depending on how whimsical and charming that game is, because those Paper Mario games, as bad as some of them are, you can float on charm and whimsy pretty.
Oh, you
pretty
definitely
easily.
can. Yeah, and
that did get me through all the freaking sticker star, but
we're gonna end up having, I'm sure, a huge debate about like the good versus the bad Paper Mario's next episode, but like regular episode. But I did have a question for you, Kevin, based on something you said. You've only been playing remakes this year, right? That's what you're basically saying.
Yep, pretty much.
How do you feel about that? Are you okay with essentially double dipping? Or not necessarily double dipping, because you maybe didn't play Tokyo Mirage Session, because I don't think the original, right?
No Last of Us 2 at all?
But...
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I might. Yeah, I'm probably going to play that.
But I guess my question was, like, is because I feel like gaming's so focused on the next big thing and the hot new thing and all that, that, like, are we at a point where it doesn't matter if things are just remakes and remasters? Because, like, you know, there's Tony Hawk, there's Final Fantasy VII, there's the Call of Duties that are remaking just a generation ago, there's the upscaled things, there's the, you know, Nintendo does deluxe versions now. Like, is gaming finally at the point where they could just keep doing this and no one cares anymore? Because I feel like if they tried this back in the day,
as long as they're good,
like, where's the new stuff? Yeah, but it's just interesting because, like, everything's not everything, but there's such a market for it now. And then when you said that, like, that's all you're playing, at least up to this point, I was just like, huh, what a 180 from, like, 5, 6, 7 years ago, where, like, remasters are kind of like the cheap budget things that people.
Oh yeah, true. Because
you know what I mean?
The Ico collection would only the Team Ico collection would only be like $40 and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and not only that, but it would just be like a side release. Like they'll be like, oh hey, check out the fancy new.
But some of them are also Team like remaster the name. I mean, that's also where like you have to, I guess, define those like Like I wouldn't say Final Fantasy and like Resident Evil 2 and 3 for that matter. Like they're not remasters; they're like complete remakes. They're like you could almost define them as different games. They share the same basic structure, and then a remaster, you know, it's like basically an up-res port.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is it seems like the industry's pivoting from just those up-reses to full-on remakes, but they're doing it at such a speed that like the hot new releases are now remakes versus original things. And it's not necessarily good or bad. I don't have a dog in the fight. It's just interesting to see the pivot happen.
So I guess it depends on what game we're talking about. Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Resident Evil 2 and 3 are full-blown brand new games, whereas opposed to Persona 5 Royal and Tokyo Mirage Sessions are just remasters. The Wonderful 101, that remaster that's coming out soon, that's essentially just a remaster with a couple of extra levels. It doesn't necessarily change the game. I think it's definitely okay if you're completely remaking the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a remaster, especially for games that didn't get as much love as they should have. Wonderful 101 and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, considering that they were on the prime examples. It's definitely weirder in the case of stuff like Shadow of the Colossus, that remaster or remake that came out maybe about a year or two ago. Did you play that, Angel?
Which one?
The Shadow of the Colossus, like. I guess it was a remaster. Like,
yeah. It's funny because I played the 3D one that came out, I guess, on PS3, but then I only got to like the fourth Colossuses. Right. But yeah, I'm actually still playing through it right now. I think I'm like on Colossus number 10, around there.
Right.
Man, that game is beautiful. In certain parts, obviously. It's basically just when you're horse riding on the back and looking at the Colossus every other time, it's like, oh yeah, it definitely looks like this was built on top of a PS2 game, which it was, but yeah.
Oh, something weird that I got to bring up about Final Fantasy VII. The character models look like the main character models look fantastic. Mm-hmm. The rest of the game, butt ugly.
Really?
Maybe not butt ugly, but the textures are so bad, and it takes forever for something to render. I'm hoping that the PC version of this game fixes it. Well, I mean, I'm sure it almost certainly will. But like on a base PS4, it's not even a base PS4, but on my PS4 Pro, it doesn't look that great, like your surroundings. But the cutscenes are beautiful, even when they're rendered in engine, and they're just not they're just CGI cutscenes. But aside from that, I don't really have any.
Are the backgrounds like Resident Evil style back in the day, where they're like separate rendered things that are just like
Like a pre-rendered static image?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
I believe in Final Fantasy VII, the OG on the PS1. I think that's what it was.
But now they're doing
that's what it was. Yeah, because
now
now
they're
you
doing
can actually
them
move the camera. Before it was basically like 2/3 view of Resident Evil.
Right.
Yeah, now they're fully rendered, but they don't look that great. They look really bad.
Weird.
Yeah, but if anything, that's my low point of this game. Aside from that, like, man, I can't sing enough praises for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Pretty god darn swell.
And that soundtrack, I haven't played it, but definitely love listening to the soundtrack.
The soundtrack's amazing. It's beautiful. I don't know if Nometsu composed it. I wouldn't be surprised if he did though. The guy that composes pretty much all the old Final Fantasies. Yeah. Man, that game. I mean, time will tell. If we're still in quarantine when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out. We'll see. We'll probably talk about it on this podcast. See what's going on there. But
I mean, Cyberpunk has the lead in my mind of games I won't play, but will look at from afar because Keanu called me and the 3,000 people at Microsoft that you're beautiful.
He didn't call
breathtaking,
you.
breathtaking,
man.
breathtaking.
He knew you were in the crowd. He would have said it.
Yo, listen. He said you're beautiful to a whole crowd, or you're breathtaking to a whole crowd that I was in. So I'm gonna say he said it. It's not incorrect. It's not fully correct. It's like somewhere in between. But it gives me more of an affinity for that game simply because that's my nostalgic connection to last E3 when we were all out in places together. Simpler time.
This quarantine's going to end.
I know, freaking E3 would be like in a
couple weeks,
now, right?
In like 3 weeks.
When would Comic-Con been?
Late July.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
But instead, here we are talking here remotely.
Here we are.
I will say though, what little I played of Final Fantasy in the demo definitely made me like Cloud a lot. Just seems a cool dude. It's like, damn, like I remember him just from what little I've seen of the original game. Just I mean, they have better animation for the faces. You could see like little subtle expressions where they don't even have to say anything. Like they could act without saying anything instead of just having the super blocky Popeye bodies that can't emote. But
yeah, and certain future scenes are probably going to be even more devastating. If you know, you know. Anyways, that's all we had on the games docket, because apparently you guys don't play video games.
I do, but they're all on a certain platform we cover in the other show. I'm a fanboy.
Okay,
through and through.
Angel, you've been watching a certain show on the DC universe.
Kind of came out of nowhere, really, because I would definitely say I'm not a fan of Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is the show that I've been watching. And DC, I like DC. I mean, I guess if I had to pick DC or Marvel, I guess I would pick DC. But I feel like...
Really?
Yeah, pretty easily. I don't really...
Wait, that's not as shocking as I thought it was at first.
I mean, the only Marvel Universe movies I saw in theaters were the ones I saw with you guys in theaters.
Oh, true.
I
do like Batman a lot, and he's DC, so I can't.
Yeah,
really...
the only reason the main reason I definitely fall more into DC is because I definitely watched a lot of their cartoons growing up, and I really loved a lot of them, like Batman the Animated Series, and Teen Titans, and even Batman Brave and the Bold, and what else was there?
Teen Titans Go.
Oh, dang! I love Teen Titans Go. I actually enjoyed the Batman, the one that was animated by the same studio that did Jackie Chan Adventures.
Did you watch Batman Beyond?
That all makes sense in retrospect. That animation style. Oh my god!
Yeah,
blowing minds.
If you look at the backgrounds and everything, it's like, yep, it's the same studio.
Blowing minds.
But
did you watch Batman Beyond? You never answered.
I barely watched that show. I think
what?
I don't know. It just didn't come
great.
Out.
Is Batman in the future?
No,
Batman Beyond's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying it just. I don't know. I don't know what else I was watching. I think it just came out at a bad time where maybe Ninja Turtles 2003 was going on, and that's where all my attention was.
No. Wait,
why is that? No, you know where my
Batman Beyond was in the same block as the same channel, Kids WB, as Jackie Chan Adventure and Pokemon in the late 90s and very early 2000s. So timing wise,
Beyond was in the 2000s, wasn't it?
Early.
Yeah. So it was 2003 Ninja Turtles.
I think Batman Beyond might have been over by 2003. But more to the point, if you're watching Jackie Chan and Pokemon, which I know you were, then Batman Beyond was being thrown in your face all the time. They were in the same morning block, if I remember correctly, on Saturdays.
You know what I think? I think the main character just didn't click with me right away, and I just didn't really bother watching because he just wasn't as interesting as Bruce Wayne. Maybe
Batman
he did get more
Beyond.
interesting.
Batman Beyond started airing January 10th, 1999, and then run on December 18th, 2001.
Like I said, very early 2000s.
That thing barely had a run.
It had, but it was a great run that it had when it ran.
And it had a great movie, too.
This is what happens when I don't have, notes. My brain doesn't work.
Perfect. We're going to condition you.
I know.
So,
anyway.
So pretty much, that kind of, background, it's kind of what makes me more of a DC. And also, I just really love the villains, and I guess I were introduced in the Batman animated series. I really love Clayface and Mr. Freeze and the Riddler and all of the ones that were portrayed. Even Scarface, I just love the ventriloquist dummy one. But essentially, Harley Quinn, I've only heard good buzz about it. So and then I know Elvis was watching it, and I asked him what he thought, and that got me to start watching it. And I don't know, I really like it. It's really funny. It kind of reminds me of it's basically if Teen Titans. It has a good balance between comedy and action, but because it's a show for an older audience, they don't hold back on the violence. When, I guess for any action cartoons, when they're fighting their bad guys, people actually die very often. There's blood and gore everywhere. And even the more adult language, I guess the cursing and stuff, even feels pretty natural. It almost feels it makes it weird now, oh, that's right, these characters would be cursing up a storm because, that's just how you would expect them to talk. But the only thing that's kind of weird is just that the special effects they kind of come off as kind of cheap sometimes. It looks like they're made with a different software than everything else is animated on. But I don't know, honestly, I think you would really enjoy the show, especially you, Jason.
Is that because it's meta?
I love that it doesn't take itself seriously at all. That's why I would most compare it to some sort of adultish Teen Titans, except it's focusing on the villains. And even Harley Quinn, who I didn't really care much about at all before watching the show, I actually really like as a character. And other characters like Poison Ivy and everyone else that didn't really have, I guess, an established personality was just mean monster. Clayface got, a lot of people just got wacky stuff. Clayface is, his thing is he's made of clay. He could transform into anything. So they made him into this self-proclaimed professional actor person. So he's just always trying to
sculpts in his own, yeah.
Yeah, so he's always trying to dive deep into the characters, and he's always trying to give them backgrounds, and he kind of takes it too far, and that kind of leads them into trouble. Or you have people they have some. Oh wow, I already lost my train of thought. Yep.
The one I know that's in there that I'm really happy about. Here, I got your back. The one I know that I'm really happy about is the fact that literally the entire character of Bane, from what I've seen on clips on Twitter, is just them making fun of the Dark Knight Rises version
that was
of
literally
Bane.
one of the ones I was going to name.
Yeah,
but
the voice, the his whole personality, everything. It's just this try hard that talks I'm Gotham Reckoning and all that. But with a muzzle, obviously.
Because Bane is usually always represented as supposed to be some really smart dude that's also really strong. But here he's he's kind of average intelligence, but he's very self-conscious, and he just gets dogged on or bagged on really easily. He's a pushover, but with that voice, but that voice is yeah, but that voice is hilarious. You'd think it would get annoying or they would play it out too much, but I don't know. Every time he talks, it's just funny.
I mean, Bane's having a moment in 2020. I mean, we're all wearing masks on our face. I'm sure the impressions are being done more again. This is Bane's year. No one else's year, but it's Bane's year.
I mean, I could definitely hear Jason clapping every time he says, and he definitely does say I'll be blank's reckoning, because he says that to a bunch of things.
Hold on, wait, what do you mean you see me clapping? Do you think I'm a real life Animal Crossing where I do that little clap emote every time I see something I like for hours on end?
Yeah, I could picture that.
I actually do that, so. So you're right.
But yeah, how much of the show have you watched?
I'm caught up with it. So
2 seasons. So George Lopez shows up as himself.
The heck? Huh.
So does So does Howie Mandel. I'm looking at the voice cast.
Did Frankie Muniz show up and stuff? Because there was a Frankie Muniz named character that came out, but it kind of sounded like him.
Not that I can see here.
Imagine he missed George Lopez, he missed Howie Mandel, but he thought Frankie Muniz was there, but actually wasn't, while the other guys were those guys.
And were literally playing themselves, apparently. Well, I'm going up based on Wikipedia.
Well, yeah, because Harley apparently had a crush on Frankie Muniz when she was growing up or something.
Oh. She breaks the fourth wall a lot in this, right?
No, I don't think she ever does.
Oh, no, she doesn't?
She does in the movie, in Birds of Prey.
No, it's
that's
not
what
like
I'm getting confused with.
It's not like that. Like, there's no fourth wall breaking, but the show is just very tongue-in-cheek and doesn't take it so seriously. But, you know, like, people just die randomly, and I don't know, it's wacky. It's a nice, wacky show that you can. That's just really easy to binge. I mean, if you have any like remote, if you enjoy any part of like the DC universe, like I think you'll really like it, especially because like you also get a bunch of cameos from like Wonder Woman, you know, Superman, Aquaman, who is like, you know, also kind of a joke, but he also makes like yo mama jokes and gets like a hype man dolphin.
What?
That kind of swoops in and like gives him a high five.
Oh my god, I need to watch this show. Between Bane and Aquaman having a hype man dolphin, you just sold me. And the meta stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
It's good. They definitely, you could tell they're having fun writing the show, and sometimes sometimes it could get clever, and other times it's just like, I don't know, it takes it where you think it will, but I don't know, it's weird. It's pleasantly weird. I mean, the fact Poison Ivy is in a relationship with Kite Man, who I knew about Kite Man. I knew he was a thing, but he was always one of those like obscure Batman villains that I guess I didn't really know much about. I just knew he's a guy with a kite, and they pretty much just, you know, trash him the whole time just because he's like supposed to be really lame, but somehow he gets the girl. But yeah.
So I saw that trailer that came out of Comic-Con that one year, and I really didn't like her voice actress, Harley Quinn's voice actress,
Kaylee Cuoco of Big Bang Theory.
Yes. How does she compare to? I mean, well, who was the Arlene something Sorkin, I believe was her name, the one from like
when
Adventures and stuff.
Yeah, like when I think Harley Quinn, I definitely always picture that voice first and foremost. But this one, like, you get used to it, and I guess just because the character is, I guess, basically different from that other one, the voice ends up just kind of working. Like, it just works. Although sometimes you feel like she's trying to imitate her, or there's like a little bit of that in there. But for the most part, it just tries to do its own thing, and you just get used to it. It just grows on you. Pretty psycho.
Where do you guys stand on Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn? Just as a barometer for the more mainstream viewers like myself.
Any of the movies where she played.
Oh, Kevin?
You haven't seen Suicide Squad?
You haven't seen Suicide Squad?
Oh, man.
Not even
Consider yourself lucky, I guess.
Even Elvis hasn't seen Suicide Squad.
It was such a weird movie because, like, it spent so long not knowing what it wanted to be. Like,
Don't
literally,
call it weird. Call it what it is, trash.
No, but like the first half of the movie, it's like the analogy I always make when I tell people about Suicide Squad is, it's like, you know, when you're driving somewhere and your friend's sitting in the passenger seat and they're like constantly changing the radio station because they can't decide what plays. It's like 1 second, you know, or like you as the driver doing it to your friend in the passenger seat. It's like 1 second it's like rock, the next second it's like country, then it's like, I don't know, like mariachi, then it's suddenly like rap, and then it's just like, what's going on? None of it feel like it's all so rapid fire. That's the movie. But every song, every station change is a whole like vibe change and theme change because each character is like a totally different character from a totally different movie that somehow ended up in one movie. And it's just really, it's like every 2 minutes. It's just like, yeah, it's hard. And then the second half is just nothing. Like they took all that personality and they're like, we can't settle on one. Let's just suck it all out. It was such a weird movie. Soundtrack was pretty good, but it's such a weird movie. I like mainstream stuff. You know my taste in music, Kevin. It shouldn't surprise you I said that.
Yeah, I know your taste.
But yeah, it's just a weird movie. Anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
Harley Quinn is does DC? You're watching this on DC Universe, right?
Yeah, it's only on DC Universe, and I'm guessing it's going to come out on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
It's just going to take everything. It's just going to swallow up DC Universe.
But DC Universe is still going to live
Swamp
on,
Thing,
aren't they?
Yeah, like I know an episode came out this weekend, so I guess I'm no longer caught up. But Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. So it's
And that's one with George Lopez and Howie Mandel. It all makes sense. I don't know if it is, but I'm assuming.
I mean, if they're playing themselves, then I definitely haven't seen them yet.
I always thought DC Universe, all the episodes came out at once. Huh?
No, they're
I
actually
was
doing it
thinking
weekly,
Netflix
and they also have like a rib on that. For some reason, one of the, I mean, I guess like Teen Titans Go at some point, like Teen Titans Go has plenty of episodes where they're literally talking to the audience, specifically the audience that is hating on the show, and they'll usually like troll on them or just tell them how much they either don't care or whatever, just embracing the fact that they're hated. But this show at one point does do the same thing, except where they have some people watching the show and they're just kind of, I guess, caricaturing the people that they think are hating on the show. But it's interesting, and it kind of worked. It kind of reminded me of some people I know. But yeah,
Gotcha. Frankie Muniz apparently did appear as himself in Harley Quinn. So there you go.
oh, guess it was them. What do you know, Malcolm in the Middle?
Jason,
Yeah, what's up?
talk to me about what you're watching.
All right, so it's funny that he mentioned Meta or that I mentioned Meta. That there's a show that's coming out because coming up next. It's funny that I queued up a transition for myself like 20 minutes ago. No, but on Monday I'm going to be watching the Community reunion, which I'm really excited about. And that's actually what I've really been doing lately is all these like Zoom and like socially distanced reunion shows or specials or just things where it's a show but now it's presented as this kind of weird quarantined version of itself. So reunions and late night, basically. I mean, anyone that knows me outside the podcast knows I'm a big Conan O'Brien fan. I've probably even mentioned it on the show. So I've been watching him every night. And it's just been these weird, like isolated people interacting through a screen that you're just also watching. And I think the best of the bunch is probably the Parks and Rec reunion, which I think all three of us have seen, right?
I've seen
yes.
it. I don't know if okay. We all saw it?
What? Yeah, I think we all saw it.
Yeah, we all saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but I mean, there's not a huge spoiler. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I thought they did a really So going into it, what I expected to be was basically like Parks and Rec has spawned so many memes and so many like little, I guess, animated GIFs. For lack of a better term, like just so many of those things, the Chris Pratt, like looking at the camera thing, the treat yourself, all that. And what I honestly thought it was going to be was just 30 minutes of them doing all the memes. But what I was surprised by is while it was some of that, they reference all sorts of stuff from the show that everyone remembers and all sorts of one-off, like literally like Chris Pratt makes a Burt Macklin reference. He just throws the name out there randomly in a sentence. It's like, yep, he was Burt Macklin. That is correct. But what I thought was really cool is they actually structured the episode with a whole story arc like a normal Parks and Rec. It had the heartwarming ending. It had like a flow to it that wasn't just like they're checking in on each other and seeing how they're doing in quarantine. Like they had basically the premise, for those who haven't seen it, is the Parks and Rec crew, mainly Amy Poehler's character of Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt, played by Adam Scott. They are now moving on up in government, but they want to send PSAs back to Pawnee to let Pawnee know here's what you need to do to be safe during the quarantine, while also still checking in with all their friends individually on Zoom. And I thought it was really clever that it wasn't just them checking in. They actually structured the show so it's them checking in amongst themselves. Then they cut to them doing the PSAs, essentially, like basically a 5-minute programming block of what Pawnee TV would have been like, and then back at the end to them talking amongst themselves. So it actually had like the equivalent of what would be like on location stuff or like set changes, except it was all virtual, but they pulled it off. And I just was really impressed. And then, like I said, they had the whole heartwarming ending with the like, kind of thing where like Leslie there's a plot that always resolves with her, and they did that. And I don't know about best year ever, but
well, she said like someone stopped me from saying.
I know, yeah. But I just thought like they did such a good job of not just doing, because it could have been quick and dirty. It could have just been like, hey, we're raising money for charity, so let's just do 30 minutes of references. Isn't it cool that we're all back together? And that's what others
could have been what John Krasinski did with the cast of The Office.
Wait, they had a reunion?
On Some Good News, right? On his YouTube show?
on his YouTube show.
And it's basically like, hey, it's you. For like, wasn't that essentially what he did? Like he just brought them all on, they just sort of talked.
Yeah, and then they danced to that Chris Brown song.
Right.
Which
Forever,
I don't know how you do in
2020.
In 2020, but
yeah. But like it could have been
bag
that.
of worms.
Or like on Monday, so the day after this goes up, on the 18th, Community is doing a table read reunion, and I love Community, and they got everyone, including Donald Glover, for the first
and Chevy
time.
Chase?
No, not everyone. I take that
No,
back.
they're replacing Chevy Chase with no. They're not replacing Chevy Chase because he's dead in the episode.
They're doing a table read of the funeral episode of Chevy Chase's character, so they don't have to bring him back. But they do have Pedro Pascal of Mandalorian.
Yeah,
he had a role in that episode, so he's there. At least I think he did, if I remember correctly. But
yes, he's bequeathing the study group. What is it? Canisters of his semen?
Something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's been a while since I've watched.
Oh, no, yeah, because... Oh, spoilers for a season 4 episode of Community.
5, but same difference.
Is it?
I think it was 5.
Because 4 was the gas leak year. You're right.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase's character is dead. Sorry to spoil you.
Oh, yeah, I sort of already spoiled it when I said it was his funeral.
Netflix. But, yeah, the reason that he died in the episode was because he was masturbating into these canisters to give to the study group, and he died from dehydration of it.
I would like to point out anyone who had that sentence on their random Nintendo bingo card for the last 9 years, just waiting for it to make sense and be brought up. There you go. It finally happened. But yeah, like Community. So they're doing that table read with that on Monday, and that's cool because I got Donald Glover back, but. That's more what I thought Parks would do, or kind of more in line with what The Office did, or like even Chuck. I really like Chuck, and Chuck did a table read
reunion
a couple weeks ago. They already did it. It was a table read sponsored by Electronic Gaming Monthly. Where did that come from? By Entertainment Weekly.
On that show.
What?
No, I said I've appeared on that show.
You have appeared on that show as an extra. Yeah, you know that's funny. That came up. I was telling someone that the other day. I think I was telling Rachel that. But anyway, yeah. So it's. It was just cool to see Parks go so above and beyond. And then I was hearing all these anecdotes afterwards. So, like, they got Paul Rudd to do the intro, and apparently, originally they weren't going to, and then, like, 2 days before they started filming.
That was a great little surprise.
Oh, it was great, yeah. And then, like, 2 days before...
Having Bobby Newport.
Yeah. No, it was really good. And what was crazy is, so originally it was supposed to be Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman doing the intro. So, as themselves, and then they'd immediately cut to the show, and it would be them again, but now they were Leslie and Ron. And Mike Schur was saying in an interview, he's the producer, creator of the show, that I see what you did there, that it felt weird to have them be like themselves and then immediately be the characters. So he just hit up Paul Rudd and was like, hey, can you do something for us? He's like, yeah, sure. And like, this was like 2 days in advance.
Feel like that's my pitched or something?
What? That's my impression of Paul Rudd, isn't it great?
But like, it's absolutely something that he would. Yeah, sure. Like,
yeah, right. Thank you.
See, I could see more Paul Rudd in that one.
Yeah, but I was about to make a reference to the "Who would have thought, not me," that we'd be on the same page on this. But anyway,
did you ever watch his weird show about his clone self?
I saw the first episode. Wait, hold on. I was gonna finish the story about how he ended up on Parks. So they asked him. And he was somewhere in New England or something, just living in a house there. But they needed it like the next day or same day. So they couldn't get him a camera. He's like, oh, I have a lapel mic. I have a camera. Send me the script. I'll do it.
Happen to have that?
And, I guess. And then like literally he turned it around in like an hour or something and sent it back. And him wearing a Leslie Knope jacket, a Knope 2012 jacket, was not planned. He just happened to have it in his house from one of the cast rap parties and threw it on thinking it'd be funny to have, Bobby Newport wear the jacket of the political rival he lost to. So, like,
but that's absolutely something that Bobby Newport.
Oh, of course, it totally is. Yeah.
Character.
No, I agree. But it's my point is like the fact that he just had that at his random house in New England, where he also randomly had a lapel mic and just made it happen same day. Like that's the upside of all the quarantine crazy. Is like the reason I feel like that Parks could happen, the reason Community can happen, even The Office, like. Chris Brown dance party, like all that can happen because everyone's schedules are so free, so people are actually able to do stuff. Like Community Gang Donald Glover is super exciting because like when he left the show to go become the Renaissance man that he is, he never looked back. But now he has nothing better to do, and he's looking back. And apparently he's getting super nostalgic about it as well. And the interesting thing is there is talk now that this special is going to be a litmus test for a movie because, Kevin, you mentioned Community's on Netflix right now, just came back on Netflix. there's a resurgence in popularity apparently, and Sony is very seriously considering doing the movie for 6 seasons and movie. So, and Donald Glover might be in because he was talking on a podcast with a couple of cast members about how he's like feeling really nostalgic and missing those guys and everything. So
it absolutely wouldn't be a Community movie without him, honestly. So they already did this table read, right?
Yeah, they filmed it last week. It's airing on YouTube at I think 2 p.m. Pacific on Monday. So by the time most people hear this, it'll be up.
How many episodes is this show, or how long is this show?
Community?
6 seasons.
6
I mean, what does it say? 6
6
seasons.
seasons
Like, how many?
and Zoom.
No. But
conference.
how big are these
22
seasons?
Oh,
it's like,
dude, it's on network
22,
TV. So.
22, 13,
Yeah.
like 16, 13, like something like that.
And
Yeah, and
each
then the
episode is
Yahoo
like the
6
usual
season,
24
which is
minutes.
really weird.
I'm sorry, can you say?
And they're 24-minute episodes, or are they like the hour-long one?
24.
No,
It's a
24-minute
sitcom.
episodes.
It used to be paired with Parks and Rec on NBC. It was the crazy lineup of Community, Parks, The Office, and 30 Rock all on a single night.
Man, young Jason probably comes to
Then
you
30
survive
Rock,
that.
and,
Yeah.
Then 30 Rock ended, and then it was Parks, The Office, Community, and whatever show was about to get canceled in 3 months.
Yeah, for a couple years. And then like, I remember when they first started airing Superstore, I was like, oh, it's the next one to get canceled, but it held its own. It's still on. I've seen like one episode. It's not bad, but
Is
yeah.
Superstore? I definitely know I haven't seen it, but I want to say when we went to Comic-Con, we went through a place that was like a mock-up of a store, but...
Yeah, so
Is that what that was
NBC's...
referencing?
Yeah, so NBC, when Down Comic-Con promotes their whole comedy everything, and they modeled the inside of one of the hotels to be a Superstore store. Cloud9's the name of the store in the show, I believe. And then
For some reason,
all
I thought
the
that was still
merch
part of,
in the
A
store
Good
was
Place or
other
something.
show references. So they had like Cones of Dunshire fake boxes and stuff.
Oh, okay,
Parks.
that's what threw me off. I thought it was just like, a store just to promote other shows. I didn't realize the store itself was...
Yeah, the store itself was a store from a show. There were many layers to that, brand activation onion, if you will. But yeah, it's I've been watching a lot of that sort of stuff, and like it's interesting. So that was like the reunion side, but the other side is kind of interesting to me is what like the late night shows are doing, like Conan, for example, and Fallon and Kimmel and Colbert, and Seth Meyers. I've been keeping an eye on kind of all of them, but it's interesting how they all
making sure
are
they're
taking,
okay.
just checking in, making sure everyone's happy and healthy and their kids are doing all right because the kids randomly show up in them now.
What about John Oliver? You didn't have him in there?
Oh, you're right. I forgot John Oliver. I guess I haven't been checking on him. I hope he's doing well. But it's just interesting to see how they're all at home. And I also didn't mention Sam B or Bill Maher. There's like a whole bunch I didn't mention, but or Trevor Noah. But they're all at home, but they're all taking such different approaches to the same thing. Ultimately, they're all still doing their shtick. So Conan's still kind of the like left brain weird humor. Seth Meyers is still doing closer looks. Fallon's still doing kind of more like game things and skits. Colbert's doing political. Kimmel's doing political with some snark. Obviously, Trevor Noah's doing political. Daily Show. But it's just interesting to see how they all do that in different ways. So, like, some of them are just like, I'm at home. I'm going to totally be at home. And it'll be super obvious. Like, Conan's just, like, in a T-shirt in front of an iPhone, just filming. And then he just zooms with the celebrity, and that's it. Fallon's like, oh, I'm going to bring my family in. I'm going to go on walks with my wife and do Q&As. I'm going to do some celebrity guests, but, like, not necessarily have the celebrity games, because that's a little harder. And then on the flip side of that, you have, like, James Corden, Colbert, and Kimmel, who like kind of made sets. I mean, I think James Corden's the weirdest because like they put in multiple cameras in his garage, so when he's interviewing people, they show him talking to a laptop. Like there's a behind his back view, and they have like lighting, and they have like all sorts of props and stuff. It's like looks like a real set. And then like Kimmel stands in front of like this weird, I guess it's his living room, but he's like kind of dressed up still, and he like has it really nicely shot. And it's just interesting how like once you disrupt the norm, like anything goes, but the range of difference that has come out of this is kind of just interesting to see because it's been such a tried and true traditional format for so long that to see them all shake it up in different ways and do it differently is just kind of interesting. They got SNL, which isn't even live anymore, but they still do that.
It's really difficult for me to see any of them because it's so odd.
Right? It's weird with no laugh track.
It's the laugh track, especially that takes me back. I was watching one of the very first clips that Conan posted when this whole quarantine started, and it was just him and Sona.
Yeah.
It was just him and Sona, and he was just like, he was ribbing her on, just making jokes, and they were funny, but it's so weird without a laugh track.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. The weird one to me is SNL, because SNL, so they did some stuff that I thought was really kind of clever. Like they are all at home, obviously, but they really had their editors step up, and they have a lot of like visual stuff that they couldn't do in a live show, like a lot of digital editing and stuff and crazy, special effects, if you will. But then, and they even redid their intro, actually. So, like, SNL's, like, traditional intro is, they catch people. It's, as long as it's been on, it's like, they're like, and A.D. Bryant, and they cut to A.D. Bryant. She's, like, ordering a hot dog, and then she looks at cameras like, oh, I didn't know you were there. And then they cut to, like, the next person. They're doing that in the home one, too. They just have them in their kitchens. But the thing I was getting at is, with SNL, it's interesting because they still have the beats as if it had a laugh track a lot of the times. Like, if you watch Weekend Update, they go back and forth between the two hosts, Colin Jost and Michael Che, and they still sort of like cue up the joke, hit the punchline, and then there's just like a beat of nothingness where there would normally be laughter, and then they go to the next one. And that's probably the weirdest. Like Conan, it feels a little more organic because he's talking to someone, it's just kind of like we're doing right now. But like SNL and stuff, it's literally like, and pause for laughter, but there's no laughter. It's so weird. so yeah, it's definitely strange, but we'll see what it turns into. I do really wonder if at least the late night shows are going to go back to a regular format when this is all over, or if they're going to kind of embrace the looser format. Because every time up till now that a show would come along and be like, oh, we're the looser, cooler late night show. Like, we don't sit in behind a desk. We sit in a drum circle or something.
In a beanbag.
We're at a beanbag. We're so cool. I wear my backwards baseball cap when I host. But then they always sort of scale back to the more traditional. Like the prime example, that's Kimmel. When Kimmel first started on ABC way back when, he was coming off the Man Show, and that was a whole different vibe. And he was like, yeah, like I'm gonna have a beer instead of a little water cup next to me, and I'm gonna be like wearing like looser clothes, and it's gonna be super cash and da 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 da. And now look at him, he's conformed to the regular format because that's what has worked up to this point. But now they have the freedom to experiment and find newer ways that might work going forward. So I'm curious, like, if the tradition will finally die or what.
I don't know if the tradition will finally die, but a lot of things will change for sure. I mean, it's probably safe to say that, like, the world has already changed after this. But
for sure. And I mean, that kind of, we were sort of saying this on the...
And for better or worse, even like for some game studios, but...
Yeah, and movies too. We were talking about, go ahead.
I was going to say, because, like, I mean, like, I know, like, for, like, some studios, they're talking, like, how it's scary. Like, oh, wouldn't it be exciting if we actually ship this game out from... their work from home situation, but then that would mean that it's kind of setting a norm. But it gets gray where some people will fight to stay at home because they will be like, hey, I can do my job from home. I don't need to be at the studio. But obviously, it's interesting.
Well, I think there's two like halves to it, because one, to like the change, like one is something I think we said on the regular show a while ago when talking about like, I don't remember the context, but basically the idea was movie studios can experiment with home releases without the blowback from theaters.
Yeah, like Scoob just came out. Like, I owned that movie already.
And Trolls too. Trolls World Tour made $100 million in a fifth the time of regular Trolls.
I did pay $20 to watch it for some reason.
Because it was quarantine, and why not? But how was it? How was it, by the way?
Oh, that's probably game night, and I had some drinks that night, so I just bought it.
How was it?
I mean, it's a really beautiful movie.
Okay, I think that's.
I don't know. I would have to get more into it because there are like a lot of things to say about the movie that I think it does really well. Mm-hmm. But I think that's like a topic for another time.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, the point I was going to make
is, worth a watch. If you like music, I think it's worth watching. I think it's worth watching.
I like Timberlake. He's in it. I like Anna Kendrick. She's in it. So I think I'm set. But the part I was going to make those like movie studios, like, because they don't have like, there is no financial loss if they try these things now. Like late night shows, there is no financial loss or there is no viewership loss if they just say, screw it, we're going to change the format. Because like literally there's no lower you can go than except not being on at this point or not having your movie come out. So I think, to your point, like half of this is companies are just going to experiment because they have absolutely nothing to lose. They're already losing everything. The other half, though, is you're right. Like, it is going to set an interesting precedent. And I'm very, very curious
especially
what
for
that
conventions,
means.
but yeah.
What?
I don't know, especially for conventions. Really curious how that's going to pan out.
Convention. I was going to say more generally, just work, office life,
Oh, yeah.
all that. Because, like, there was a quote from a guy at, I think it was Take-Two, the CEO of Take-Two. So, owners of Rockstar Games and all that, and the 2K Sports line. And he was saying, I'm not a big fan of work from home. I really don't like work from home. But I think by the end of this, I will fully support people that want to work from home. Which is interesting. He's basically saying he didn't find it productive, but he thinks he'll learn that it's very productive. And he was saying this back in mid-March at the start of it.
It can be very productive, yeah.
That can be. But then, like, and now, like, Twitter's saying if you all work from home forever, you can, to all their employees. So it's there's definitely a shift. I personally like getting
sense.
out of the house, but there's definitely going to be a shift. And I think as more people...
At least for the jobs that can do it, I mean, like, motion capture artists definitely can't.
Oh, yeah, no, and there'll be some that can't. But as more companies in any industry realize they don't need to be paying rent on those giant offices, they don't need to be building the Apple spaceship up in, up in the Bay Area. They don't necessarily need that at the scale they do. I think more and more people are going to start working from home. And before we know it, it's going to be kind of like that movie Her, where, like, a few people go in, but a lot of people never do.
It's funny because, I mean, that's kind of already been happening on a smaller scale with, like, outsourcing things. And, I mean, a lot of animation studios and, like, Cartoon Network and stuff, they freelance a ton of stuff where they'll have someone just draw the backgrounds, like, literally from home. But now it's just everyone's doing it, basically.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be, we'll look back on this recording in, like, 5 years and be like, wow, we nailed it, or what a failed experience. No, but I mean, like, we're going to be looking back at this and probably be like, yep, there it was when it was first, like, this is where it all started. Not that we came up with it, just that, this is where the trend's emerging is around now, or what a failed experiment, take your pick. But anyway, yes, that's what I've been watching, and many tangents, but, yeah, just a lot of that sort of stuff. I should probably watch some movies or something, but at least on the TV. Well, what movies have you guys been watching, actually?
Yeah, I've been going through my list of Blu-rays that I've just been buying. I'm just finishing up buying my Studio Ghibli collection. I think I'm only missing like 5 or 6 movies. I mean, when I say Studio Ghibli, I don't just I'm not just getting stuff by Miyazaki. I'm like literally getting everything that was produced by like Studio Ghibli, which, I mean, I guess it made me realize that they have a ton of directors and a lot of really good stuff that I feel a lot of people just kind of ignore just because it's not, Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke or, pretty much those two, or My Neighbor Totoro, which I feel I don't like as much as everyone else. But yeah, the movie that I guess I watched recently that kind of blew me away was The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Most of you, I'm pretty sure, have at least like heard of the main story. Like, have any of you ever heard of The Tale of the Woodcutter?
Angel, there's only 2 of us here. You could make it like you're talking to like an audience of like 50. There's only the 2 of us that can answer.
I mean, I'm not wrong.
I know. No, I don't think I know what you're talking about though. Was it The Tale of the Woodcutter?
Yeah, it's pretty much a Japanese folktale. It's like the equivalent of, I guess, their Little Mermaid or their... Actually, maybe a little more than that. But it's just an old Japanese folktale about a woodcutter that, like, discovers a bamboo shoot that has a tiny little, I guess, girl in it that grows into a baby, and then they raise it. Well, they raise her, and they suddenly get gifts from the heavens through bamboo, like a bunch of money that makes them rich, a bunch of, like, fancy textiles, and they become so obsessed with, like, oh, man, we have to, like, this is a gift from the gods, so we have to make sure that she becomes, like, a princess, or, like, make sure that she's treated like royalty, and, stuff ensues. And what makes this movie stand out, especially among like the Ghibli films, which like are known just for having like beautifully drawn vistas and especially food, this movie is pretty much like a moving painting that you would see in a museum. Like, everything is like a nice like watercolor sketched out look, and I don't know, it's like you have to see it to believe it. It's just really nice. It's kind of like the opposite of, I guess, Spider-Verse. Because Spider-Verse is like, I would say like a modern version of this. Because that's kind of like something you would see in a gallery for like modern street art. Mm-hmm. And this is just like the museum equivalent of that. Like, everything is just so I guess, just beautiful. It's like
This looks awesome.
like I would just like watch it and I would literally like recommend it just for the visuals, and it's like, whoa, like this is like hand-drawn animation like at its finest, I would even say. But and the story itself, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I mean also like if I just happen to know the tale just because I don't remember what show it was. Oh, I guess since I watch a bunch of animes, they've parodied that tale a few times already. So I already kind of knew what was going to happen in the end. And it does kind of come kind of abruptly. And you'll either be, huh, that was abrupt, or, oh man, that's pretty harsh. But it can be a tearjerker, and like it can be pretty depressing. It's just kind of like a, damn, like people suck kind of movie. But I mean, to give you,
Yeah.
I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, the director, Isao Takahata, he directed Grave of the Fireflies. If that
Okay,
movie,
yeah. Now it all makes sense.
if that movie rings a bell, which is
That
a
one's
very
definitely a
depressing, like World War II era film where it's just two kids that, yeah, you just see them live through that and suffer, and it's very depressing, and it should be. Yeah, but. Yeah, I would really recommend the film. It's definitely something anyone should watch. If you consider yourself a fan of animation and you just like seeing different art styles, because this is definitely something that I feel hasn't really been done to this extent. Like sometimes you'll see this kind of animation done for like an intro or an outro or like a segment, but this is like a full movie done in this technique.
It is really cool looking. Kevin's right. It looks really great.
Yeah,
like it does, and yeah, it really does feel like something that'd be like older Japanese art in a museum versus yeah,
it's very traditional. But I definitely want to share it with my siblings, so I'm probably gonna. We've been watching a movie every week, just like we take turns watching movies, and next week is my turn to pick. So this will be my pick since I had to watch Crazy Rich Asians last week.
What was that?
How was that?
It was
Can't
funny.
just name drop it without talking about it.
How did I describe it to a friend last time? It was like the Coco of Asian culture. Like
I don't know if that's a good thing because I haven't seen Coco.
I get what he means, I think.
So like I mean it's something that I know like there was a lot of things that kind of went over our heads that were just like, oh, like our reaction was literally, oh, I guess that means something. Oh, I guess that must mean something. Just because I'm sure there were a lot of like cultural boundaries for some of the references that they were doing, but overall, like I mean, the story is still like kind of like pretty straightforward. So it's your typical like your mom doesn't approve of the person they want to marry, and you have to kind of get them to change their mind. Has some funny moments. The dude from I guess Community's in there. I forgot his name. Ken Jeong. Yeah, Ken Jeong in there. He was really funny. He kind of steals the scenes that he's in. I mean, if you have a way to watch it, I mean, I would recommend it if you have nothing else to watch. I feel like, I mean, that was my sister's pick. She just wanted to watch that, and it's definitely for lack of a better term, it does kind of fall in the chick flick category, but I feel like it's still enjoyable for anybody. It just kind of definitely leans more that way, but yeah, it almost strikes a good balance. I mean,
Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, and some kind of stuff even parallels, like, Hispanic culture, so it's not all completely lost in translation. Except just the complete unrelatability that they're, crazy rich Asians. But, like, like, being that crazy rich is kind of like, it makes you go, like, man, it would be nice to be that rich.
Right? Oh,
like,
man.
I mean, just, like, the kind of stuff that they do and what they have is, like, Jesus, like, now I'm depressed.
Jesus Christ. I think.
But we
rich
in love.
Oh, yeah. I think you can see. Watch me pull a Jason. I think you could see Crazy Rich Asians on Hulu. I just saw on Hulu Bumblebee.
Oh, you actually can't watch it on Hulu. We tried. You need an HBO Max account.
I don't know if this clapping's really mixed bad for people, but I'm applauding your transition.
That was our first choice, but then, we needed an HBO Max account, so we had to get it through. I mean, not Max, whatever, HBO Now or something.
Right.
So we had to pay $3.99 to watch it on YouTube.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that was a fail on my part. But yeah, I just saw Bumblebee.
What'd you think
the
of
movie
it?
was the movie was okay, and I really wanted to love it.
I liked it a lot. I wanted to love it, but I liked it a lot.
I wanted to love it.
What held you back? What held you back?
I had not very good expectations, and I ended up liking it. Mainly the beginning. I think I didn't really care about the rest of it.
Yeah, it's really the beginning that made it.
I mean, honestly, because I watched a lot of the other Transformer movies, it just had to not be terrible, which already made it really good.
I like 2007 Transformers. The
That's
sequel,
what that
no.
means.
The third one,
so
The fourth one, what? But the first one, yeah.
Okay, so let's do spoilers for the Bayformers, Transformers, and Bumblebee for this. So skip over to the next timestamp close to this, what is it? Oh, it's gonna be that. Okay. So I don't understand what this movie is. I don't understand if it's a soft reboot, a hard reboot, or a prequel
Neither
to Bayformers.
does Paramount.
Yeah, Travis Knight definitely made it with, like, I'm gonna please a lot of the old school fans, which kind of retcons a lot of things that happened already, but then they also gonna go out of their way to, like, set up things that happened in the other movie, so it's like, so which is it? But yeah, it's kind of weird.
So I was coming into this thinking that it was a reboot, but then John Cena's character is from Sector 7.
Yeah, no, it's you know what it really is it's an amalgamation of everything. And if it took off well, they could pivot the franchise while still having the roots.
To use the same models and establish things, but isn't really.
But it didn't use the same models. It used the 80s models.
No, I mean, like, it used the same kind of well, it didn't use that. It took inspiration from them. I mean, in the Cybertron.
Oh, yeah, but they definitely don't look like the Bayformer ones.
No, I'm talking about, like, every other Transformer, even, like, Blitzwing that came out in the beginning and Bumblebee. Like, I mean, they're still... I mean, Bumblebee still has the same face from all his Bayformer movies. They're all still the same kind of overly mechanized. Like, the two robots that are out to kill him.
I genuinely think this was an experiment on Paramount's part to see what direction they could take the franchise after Age of Extinction didn't do so hot. And I suspect, considering we haven't gotten a sequel, it didn't go the way they wanted, but I think they purposely dabbled in everything so it could be a continuation of anything that worked in the past. Whether it means, they pick up with the old cartoon, they pick up with the Bayformer ones, they forged their own path. Like, they just kind of, it's like they threw it all in a blender, and out came Bumblebee. It's like you can view it as, so it's almost like you view it as your own, but it has like nods to everything. Like, it's like a parallel universe sort of weird thing, I feel like.
I guess if they do decide to go the parallel universe route, I guess it will work. Maybe you can make it so that Sector 7 doesn't suck in the next Transformers movies. Well, so let's talk about the movie real quick. It takes place in the 80s. This is one of my biggest criticisms of the movie. The soundtrack to this movie is awesome, but I swear every 10 minutes a brand new song is played. And every single time that they played a new song, I'd roll my eyes. Especially after the first 3 times. And what sucks about that is that I love every song on that soundtrack. You got a couple of Morrissey hits in there. You got some Tears for Fears, some like old school new wave. But every 10 minutes there's you got Rick Astley. Like, what's not to love about this soundtrack? But every 10 minutes another snippet of another song from the 80s is in there.
Kevin, here's your other option, because this is what they did with the first Transformers in 2007. Every 10 minutes could be the same Linkin Park song, which I, in 2007, loved that they did. But they played What I've Done 3 times in 3 different parts of the original Transformers. It's on the radio in one scene. It's in the PA system of another scene. It's played just normally in a third scene, and it's in the credits. So, you pick your poison. Either it's a bunch of songs or it's only one song forever and always.
I honestly don't know what I would want to pick there. A bunch of songs that I do like that are like overused. Or
careful with what you're about to say here.
Linkin
Careful
Park
with what you're about to say. Okay, I thought you were going to say something worse.
Hold on. New Divide, I think, is Linkin Park's best song.
I love New Divide.
New Divide is a great song.
I love New Divide. I did a bracket the other day of top. Well, you definitely know, Kevin, because you chewed me out on Twitter.
Yeah,
I did a bracket
Linkin
of
Park bracket.
I know.
How far did New Divide?
Well, anyway, I did a bracket, and you know what was missing from the bracket entirely, which blew my mind. No, they didn't put New Divide as one of the options.
Yeah, they didn't put New Divide. I'm assuming because it wasn't on any album in any capacity. I mean, it was a bonus track for an album. I think it was a bonus
It wasn't even a bonus track. It was only a single and put on the Transformers soundtrack. It was written just for the movie, and that's as far as it got. But
I mean, yeah, that's probably why.
But nonetheless, I mean, even Linkin Park's, Linkin Park's own former social media manager guy was like, "Where's the New Divide?" So, yeah, even basically Linkin Park's camp aren't fans of it being excluded. But
yeah,
anyway, sorry, I'm just saying those are your two choices.
So I watched. I haven't watched Age. No, what was before Age of? No. So I have watched
The Last Night.
Yeah, I heard those movies are terrible. Can either of you confirm?
I was blinded by the fact that I was blinded by the fact that Linkin Park did songs for 3 of them. So 3 of them, I was just like, "Ooh, Linkin Park." But if I get over that hump, yeah, they're a little bloated. They're kind of not funny when they try to be. Really, the humor falls flat a lot. The second one was just so gratuitous with everything. I mean, that one shot of Megan Fox running through the desert, just always, when I hear Transformers 2, that's just what I think of, because it's it was so, felt like Baywatch or something. It was so out of place. But
it's such a shame. It's such a shame that New Divide had to be paired with that terrible Revenge of the Fallen movie.
I know. And again, I really did like the first one a lot. I think part of it was my age at the time. It resonated, but
yeah, that probably has something to do with it.
But I really, really liked it. Yeah, I thought it was fun, and it was I've come to realize I actually prefer origin stories over sequels almost every single time. Almost every time. Okay. I like
Wolverine Origins.
What? No, not like that. I mean, the first in a series, the movie where they come to terms with this new reality. Be it they have a superpower, be it they meet Optimus and Bumblebee, be it whatever it is. I like those more than the one where it's hey, remember when I did that thing? Well, now I'm going to do something else with those powers. Like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's I much rather. The one exception is The Dark Knight. I liked it more than Batman Begins. A lot. It's one of my favorite movies. But for the most part, yeah, I think partly for me at least, not to hijack you here, but partly for me that's why I like Bumblebee so much, is it's basically one of those kind of origin stories.
Bumblebee had a lot of strong points that I want to point out. His design I really liked. Mm-hmm. It's definitely has that Bayformer feel to it, but just they didn't have the edge that Michael Bay would put on his Transformers.
Yeah, it's soft. The word I was about to use was softer. That's funny. Yeah.
The first 3 minutes of this movie on Cybertron, incredible. Angel.
I know. It should have been the whole movie.
It will be. It will be. They're doing a Cybertron prequel,
when
fully animated.
Came out and sent out Ravage. Oh man.
But is it going to be canon towards Bumblebee?
Yep.
Oh, it is?
Supposedly. Well, actually, no one knows yet. I take that back. I'm trying to look up who.
Every universe is canon. Yeah, they've already gotten crazy with it. I mean, there's a CG Netflix series coming out. Yeah, there's a show that's currently airing called Transformers Cyberverse, where essentially time rips opened up and a bunch of Transformers from different eras are essentially working together.
Sounds like someone watched Into the Spider-Verse.
Even Beast Wars Cheetor is in the mix with other Transformers, so they're all in the same timeline. Essentially,
right.
That's what's interesting. So the animated one coming out, I don't know if it's canon, but it's being done by the guy who directed Toy Story 4. So there's that. And then separately, they're doing a live action ish Bayformer Bumblebee style Beast Wars movie.
When did that get announced?
A while ago, apparently. I didn't know either, but then it was referenced in the article about the animated one. And the Bumblebee sequel is still floating around somewhere. Who knows what will come of it, though.
But wouldn't this?
Like I said, you can't. They're just throwing things against the wall at this point. It's all Blender. Don't try to figure it out.
Let me go back to what else I like. The main actress, Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Haley, I know you listen to the Random Nintendo podcast. My Twitter,
Gwen, right?
She is. My Twitter is in the bio. Hit me up. You are gorgeous. I will simp to the end of my life. I thought she was really good. I thought it was interesting that John Cena wasn't just straight up the villain.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's what they were going to have him do, but like he even says it in the movie, like, do we really want to team up with these guys called the Decepticons? Like, that's a pretty red flag right there. Like, I thought that was funny. Some of the humor did stick, but the stuff with her family, I felt was just so overblown, was so overdone. And I like Pamela Adlon as her mom, but I know the family drama just didn't do it for me. I rolled my eyes so hard at the end of the movie where she had to high dive to save Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because, that's what she did. And the last time that she did it was the last time that she saw her father. But of course she has to... it's
Hollywood, man. Hollywood.
I really wanted to love this movie. And it disappointed me so bad. And then the fact that I still don't know if it's a prequel, a sequel, whatever it is.
I'm telling you, neither does Paramount. They don't know what it is.
So what do you do for Bumblebee 2? If you even make a Bumblebee 2.
You get, well, if Transformers 2 taught me anything, you get 2 racist sidekick robots, you get Linkin Park try an original song, and you have Megan Fox around the desert, and that's Bumblebee.
I mean, if they do a sequel to Bumblebee, quote unquote, at that point, wouldn't they be like, well, the sequel is not even going to be Bumblebee, it's just going to be Optimus Prime. Like, it would just be, like, with a different Bumblebee. But
Soundwave, the movie.
What if they called it Transformers Robots in Disguise?
That right there sounds like a reboot. I'd be down for that. I like that name.
Yeah, but it'd be following Bumblebee.
Right. Yeah, they could do that. Or call it More Than Meets the Eye or something.
I feel like... Oh, I forgot that they played The Touch in
yeah, they did.
In Bumblebee. I bet Angel loved that.
It was a nice reference, yes. For sure.
They also, when they did the panel for Bumblebee at Comic-Con, played The Touch live with the guy that performs it. I forgot his name.
The Touch guy?
Yeah, The Touch guy.
Oh, wow.
Stan Bush.
Touch. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. I feel like that movie had a bunch of good ideas. The family stuff has always been the weakest parts, or the human stuff has always been the weakest parts of those movies.
I know, they need to get those theories out of Earth.
Well, they are with the animated one.
I know, but that's like, I mean, until I see it.
I feel like you can make compelling human stuff. But
they can't, but it would have to be made by not Hollywood, I feel. Because, like, I mean, unfortunately, I feel like we live in a world where a lot of it banks on celebrity talent and celebrities just appearing in movies. So I feel like they're always gonna give like top billing or something really important to the human roles just because they're gonna cast, I guess people that are gonna get people in the seats. But
well, it's not just so much that, but they are looking at it as there's a subset of people who are super into watching robots fight one another, and there's a larger audience
Pacific Rim
who needs some what? Right, and neither of those movies did particularly well. The fact that it had a sequel really surprised people. Like they did okay. The first one made a profit. The second one, I think, maybe broke even, but they weren't like. And there's obviously dedicated fan bases, but they're looking at it, for better or worse, as this mainstream. How do we get the most people in? How do we make this the next $500 million, billion-dollar franchise, whatever? And that means they have to make it relatable with those human things. So it's not even so much. I don't think it's so much that they need famous people to fill those human roles.
I mean, I think it's one way to achieve that goal. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's more like they don't think that someone's going to pay, and maybe they're wrong, but they don't think someone's going to pay 2 hours or pay $20 for 2 hours of robots punching each other in the face without any sort of human thing.
It's funny.
And the reason I think Cybertron is going to work for them is because it's animated, because that's the one place.
That sounds like the name of the TV show, Cybertron.
Cybertron, SUV. But no,
it's no different than Krypton.
Or SVU, I mean.
No, SUV totally works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, I think animated, they can get away with not doing that because people understand what they're looking at is like, it's Woody, he's a toy, but he's representing a human thing. But when they market a movie with, look at these giant robots, we swear they have emotions and deeper inner conflicts, but like they're also punching each other, you kind of need the human element to like sell it to people, to like the broader public. opposed to the more niche. So I think that's going to always hold Transformers back as long as it has a live action component.
Yeah, because
And
I mean, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say and it's kind of hard to expect them to give us really, really compelling stories when this series was created specifically to sell toys. I mean, the toys came first, and then they built it around the toys. But I mean, the fact we actually have some really good content from them from time to time is really good. I mean, Transformers Prime was a really good show.
Beast Wars, I loved it as a kid. Wars,
I mean, that show still holds up.
You just rewatched it all.
Yeah, it still holds up really well.
Yeah.
Damn. Makes me want to buy some Masterpiece Beast Wars figures, but
I'm so mad that I didn't.
$800 right now.
I had so many Beast Wars toys, and then when I moved away from Montana when I was 14, I got rid of a bunch of the toys I had just in general, and I did not keep a single Beast War. You're a terrible person. I know, and I regret it.
It didn't pass the Nintendo
when I
litmus
wake
test.
up, basically, the only stuff I kept was Pokemon and Nintendo. But when I wake up every morning, I just think where's my rat trap with wheels? Oh, right, in a Goodwill somewhere. So,
R.I.P.
Yeah, seriously, pouring out for Rat Trap.
Yeah, like I said, man, Bumblebee. I'm so disappointed. I wanted to like this movie. I think definitely what got those Cybertron scenes are awesome.
They are,
but I think it's kind of sad that at this point, what's driving me towards this series is the sense of nostalgia that I get from watching robots fight.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime's transform mode, or what do you call that mode?
You mean they call them vehicle and robot mode?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like his
I'm sorry.
I mean,
no.
The only time it's not that when they're beast mode in Beast Wars, but yeah.
The only way that could have gone worse is if you're like, what do you call it when they go and he's like, transform? Like, that's the only way that could have gone worse.
I mean, the only technicality someone might bring up is when they don't call them a vehicle mode, they call them their alt form. But yeah, which is literally their alternate form, which I guess is even more literal.
Fall of Cybertron, they had that weird in between mode, right?
Weird in between mode.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No. That's the third one where they started Bumblebee's in his car in his vehicle form, and then he only changed half his body to fight while still being kind of in vehicle, and then went back. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I think they started doing that in part 3.
What was the third game called?
Dark of the Moon.
The
one where they destroy Chicago.
So the third...
That's the third movie, not the third game.
Yeah, the third game. Oh, the third game. There was no third game.
Yeah. There was a third game? What was it called?
No. So there was no third game.
Oh, there was no third game. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron.
Fall of Cybertron and then Devastation, which I never got a chance to play.
Yeah, but that's just a 80s movie. 80s show. Platinum.
And would you rather play Devastation than War or Fall?
Oh no! I love the '80s aesthetic of Devastation, and it was fun. But it's a Platinum's game, so it's kind of linear. There is I don't know. It was more like watching a TV show, which was great, but it didn't really feel like I was playing as a Transformer. The Fall of Cybertron's games were more like open worldish Call of Duties, so. You could literally be in jet mode, flying around, transform in the air, snipe someone, and then transform before you hit the ground again and fly off.
Those were really satisfying.
Yeah, no other game has ever given me that kind of oh man, this feels so good. Even as not a Transformers fan, I feel like it's just really fun.
Mm-hmm. What was I gonna say? Did you play the Transformers game that came out when the first Bay movie came out?
On the DS?
Oh, no.
Always got the Autobot version, and I got the Decepticon version.
No, I think I'm thinking of something else. It was the game...
Wow.
It was the game that came out...
It was like GTA, but on the DS, but you're a Transformer, and you can make your own Transformer, too.
No, I'm thinking of the game that came out when Transformers Armada came out.
Oh, no. I didn't get back into Transformers until Revenge of the Fallen, ironically. That's like when I started collecting
God.
the toys of the game. Like, I pretty much was really into it in Beast Wars, and then paid no attention to it until Revenge of the Fallen, and that's when I started watching the 80s show again, and then rediscovered all that, and then here we are. But yeah.
It was weird when that first movie came out. I had no idea who Bumblebee was because they used Hotshot in Transformers Armada, and like that trilogy. Or it was like Armada.
Hotshot was he replaced Optimus.
He replaced
Prime
Bumblebee pretty much
at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Transformers Armada was pretty dope though. But yeah, I guess that's Bumblebee. I guess that's Bumblebee for me. It's a lot of nostalgia,
A lot of
like
feelings.
good. Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings. Like I said, that soundtrack is really good, especially for somebody like me who loves like 80s new wave and stuff like that. But they just overused the music.
Speaking of music, can I pivot us for a minute? Because I want to talk about a band that does synthy things. What is going on with the Killers? Like, why do they? I know this is like totally left field. I know, but what is going on? Like, why do they keep doing this thing where they release a single and like that sounds like the Killers, and then they follow it up like 2 weeks later with a song that sounds nothing like the Killers? I'm like, what? Like, how every album? Kevin, I mean, you listen. I know you're a Killers fan, somewhat, right?
I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I was a huge
like
Killers
a partial
fan.
one, right? Because I'm like the first album's great, right? I think we're in agreement there.
First album's
the
awesome.
Killers, they're Reptilia, right?
Nope, that's the Strokes. That's the Strokes,
They're
who
Room
just
on
came out with a new
Fire?
album.
That's the Strokes. That's the
somebody
Right
told
Side
me.
is on
Somebody
the
told me.
Bright Side?
Yes,
That's
third
the
time's a
Killers.
charm. Third time's a charm. Good job, Angel. But yeah, it's it's like the first album's really good. The second
White
album,
Wedding.
I like Red Wedding. That's Game of Thrones.
No, I said White Wedding.
Oh, I think
That's Billy Joel.
Yeah, that's neither of the above. But yeah, like it feels like at some point, maybe it was the third album, they just started doing like, well, we'll do a single or two that are like, yeah, we're the Killers, and then we'll just go wander around with a synth keyboard for a while and just see what weird things we cook up. And they keep doing that. So like they came out with a single called Caution like a month ago maybe, and that one sounds a lot like When You Were Young, actually, with a guitar solo added to it, and I really like it. But then it came out with another one called like, I don't remember what it was called, Fire and Bone, Flesh and Bone, something like that, and it was just like
Fire and Bone.
I don't even know what that is. Like, it was like so different.
Oh, you sound distraught.
That was that to me sounded like a Talking Heads ripoff.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, that is But why? Why are they doing that?
I don't know, man.
Because Caution's so good. Do you like Caution? I really like Caution.
I do not like Caution.
Oh,
I think
okay.
Caution and Fire and Bone are like a 4 out of 10 and a 6 out of 10 respectively.
What do
I
you
do
think
not
of
like those songs.
their last album?
I thought their last album was great, especially
with the man and all that.
that
The man's catchy.
that album had a lot of deep cuts that I really like. The album before that, Battleborn, because
Yes.
it shares its name with that bad Gearbox game. Sorry if you guys like that game. That
Obus played a lot. That's about it.
he only played a lot because Monte wanted to play that game.
Oh.
We told him that game will be dead within a month, and it was dead on arrival. So
That was
didn't even
was
get
that the one that Cliffy B worked on?
No, that's
I'm
that
thinking
was
of-
Lawbreakers.
I mean,
Yeah,
it just had
that's
the
also
unfortunate. I mean, it just came out too close to Overwatch, even though they weren't the same type of game. Like, I mean, they're both like hero shooters, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
That's a whole subgenre now, practically. So
Even though one is more like lane-based Dota League, was probably closer to League than Overwatch.
yeah, it was closer to a MOBA than it was to like PvP objective stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why.
But yeah, you're saying about Battleborn, the album, not the game.
Battleborn was like
The album.
a really bad. Yeah, Battleborn the album by the Killers, not
Yeah, not Battleborn, the game by
to the
2K.
Gearbox game.
Your Gearbox, yeah.
That one sounded a lot like Heartland rock, like Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Which I don't really care for Bruce Springsteen. That was never my jam. That dad rock stuff. So I didn't like that one. But I think like the 3 albums before that, and even Sawdust, the B-side compilations, those are all great albums. Ever since and then Caution came out, and I was like, oh, they're going back to Battleborn.
See,
to the sound of Battleborn. The album that I don't like.
It reminded me so much of When You Were Young, though.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. If you sing any more, we're gonna have to. If you sing any more, we're gonna have to get clearance on it. So, we'll pump the brakes there.
I don't think it sounds like When You Were Young at all. Personally.
Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Something about it just reminded me of it. And I wasn't particularly a big fan of Battleborn either, so it's kind of odd that like you're picking up Battleborn vibes and not liking it for that, and I don't like Battleborn but do not pick up those vibes at all. I don't know, but what do you think of Fire and Bone? That's the second one. That's I know you made the Talking Heads comparison, but
yeah, it sounds like a Talking Heads ripoff that isn't. It grew on me a little bit. I really hated that song when it came out. Mm-hmm. I think replied to the Killers. Twitter page saying like, "Are you guys even trying anymore?" Because
wow, art, Kevin. It's their art.
I'm sure it hurt their feelings, bro. But
I'm sure Flowers is curled up somewhere in Vegas crying right now.
Brandon Flowers is a beautiful man that we do not deserve when you see them play live.
Oh, they're amazing live. Yeah,
they're amazing live.
When you saw them, did they do that thing where they do Mr. Brightside at the end, but they do the song like kind of, I guess, normal speed or a little slower? They get through the first verse, they get to the first chorus, they stop.
It's a remix.
Oh, but then they stop. They turn off all the stage lights and they turn on the house lights, and then they start playing it at like double time and do the whole song like in the crowd practically.
We were at the
we were at
show.
The exact same show. Okay, yeah. That's right. I knew we saw. Yeah, that's right. So then you were there. You did see that. Okay.
Yeah, and then
it's so good.
Mr. Brightside's weird because when I saw them at the previous tour, that's how they opened the show with all the lights on.
Oh,
which I thought was a little bit lame because I was like, I would have liked to have heard that last.
Yeah, I think it makes
all the hype.
It makes a great closer, and the crowd flipped out the second the house lights came on. It was awesome.
Yeah, but I'm not digging those new singles at all, and it doesn't make me hopeful for this new album,
which is out this coming Friday, I believe.
Oh, it's this Friday?
I think so, the 18th. But yeah, it's weird because like I feel like they have like in my mind, for me personally, in terms of their music, I feel like they have a sonic cycle of sorts where like they'll. Or kind of like a sonic cycle. So they'll release a song. I'm like, oh, this sounds.
That's the perfect
sonic cycle,
like Sonic the Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, the Sonic cycle.
I know.
Yeah, where they release something, and you're like, oh, okay, there's some hope here. And then they release something else, and you're like, there's some. I'm getting a little shaky here. I don't know. And then the full thing comes, you're like, well, that's not what I wanted. But what was odd is they did it in reverse. I feel like with the last album, with the man on it, I forgot what it's called for some reason. Their last album. Wonderful. Yeah, because the first single was The Man, which is not. That was like almost like had like a funk infusion or something. Like was not their typical. It had like a disco vibe. Yeah. Not at all their typical thing. Then they released. I forgot the name of the song, but straight up
Run for Cover.
Yeah, Run for Cover, which was straight up their old style.
Yeah,
a little.
which that sounded like a song that could have been on their first two albums.
Absolutely, yeah. And then and it was kind of like building towards like, oh, it's like the inverse of their cycle. So this album must be more like Run for Cover, I guess, because they're doing it backwards now. But it ended up not being like Run for Cover, which is fine. It's still a good album, but it's just kind of funny how like they even tried to shake up their own sonic cycle and ended up back in their sonic cycle on some level. So, but yeah, they are the sonic cycle of music, I feel like.
I'm shaky for that album, especially because the Strokes just released their sixth album.
Took them long enough.
The New Abnormal. Yeah, they announced that at a Bernie Sanders rally, of all places.
Yeah,
but that album's amazing. There are so many good. You know when an album's good when you only skip at most like 2 tracks.
Isn't that great, by the way, when there's an album, Strokes or otherwise, where it's just like you're going through it and it just all like you're feeling like every single song, it just all resonates. And not necessarily topic, but just in terms of like the sound or whatever. And it's just like one whole complete piece that you really, really like. And then it just becomes like the soundtrack of like your next 2 months. And every time you hear the songs, you think back to that 2-month, 3-month window. Yeah. And it's just like that was your life at that point.
That was all that. And I'm still listening to that new Strokes album. But I don't know about this new Killers album.
Well, so what about the Strokes? So are the Strokes for you like the Killers, where they're more hit or miss, or are you basically every single Strokes album you like?
No, they're out of their 6 albums, I don't like 2 of them. Out of the Killers, I don't like because at this point they have an equal amount of albums.
Yeah,
I would say, yeah, I like 4 of their albums. Yeah, it's
interesting.
the same average.
So with Strokes, was there like a period where they just fell flat for you, or are they kind of scattered, or is it like album 4 and 5 both back to back weren't great, but now they're kind of coming back with 6, or was it kind of just...
albums 3 and 4?
Ah, okay.
Which
so they're right on the upswing.
After album 3, they pretty much split off. They did all of album 4 like separate, where Julian Casablancas, the lead singer, was recording his lines, his verses, and sending them to the rest of the band so that they could then like.
Why?
Yeah, it was because they hated each other. I think one of them said the only reason that we got back together is because some of us have a third mortgage on the house, or like to pay off the third mortgage on our houses.
Right. Well,
but it seems like this new album, they really got their stuff together. Like, it sounds like they're actually having fun being a band again.
That's good, because you could tell with music when it's like manufactured versus made. You know what I mean? Like when it's like, oh, we have to do this because we want the money, or we have to do this, but we're not like into it. Versus when there's like, you know, they all click and they're all on the same page, and you can tell the energy is different.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's what the Killers might be missing, because on their promos for their last for the last album and this upcoming album, they don't have their guitarist with them.
Yeah, I don't understand that. They like, it's just 2 of them now essentially. Like even the tour when we saw them for Wonderful Wonderful, they only had 2 of the Killers, and there was a
Brandon
and drummer
Ronnie.
Ronnie. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that thought that was weird.
Right?
You know what, Angel? We'll let you, after we're done with our music, why don't you tell us about an anime or something you've watched, and then we can balance it out, because I have no anime. So there. How about that?
I was being sincere.
I know.
So it's only 2 of them, but technically the bassist is still in the band because he's showing up in the promo material.
That's so strange.
But he doesn't go on tour with them. Whereas in the guitarist, he doesn't tour with them anymore, and he's not in any of the promo footage.
It feels like they're moving the direction of all people, Panic at the Disco, which was a band, and then wasn't a band, and then was a different band, and then was a band. The only thing constant is Brandon Urie, and now it's just his name. And he just hires musicians as he needs them for every album.
Right.
But like, it was a band.
Is Panic at the Disco not a thing anymore?
No, they're still a thing, but it's a stage name for one man. Yeah, it's like literally they're not a band anymore. It's just he uses that name for his
I've never listened to
music.
a Panic at the Disco album.
I didn't listen to their older stuff, but some of their newer stuff, like
I
the
absolutely hate High Hopes.
Yeah, I'm okay. High Hopes I don't care about, but
song.
Yeah,
might as well be in the Imagine Dragons song.
Ooh, I like some Imagine Dragons, not gonna lie, but my taste is bad. I'd say every other album for Imagine Dragons for me, it alternates. But but what I was gonna say is, you're saying you never listen to Panic. Yeah, me neither. They're like, I feel like Fall Out Boy and Panic, like their emo rock phase, like 2005, I didn't really care much about. But then they both kind of went like, I don't know how to describe it, like that poppier, like electronic synth infused rock thing that was like big in like 2012 and on, kind of like when they reinvented themselves. Like that's when I started listening to them more. Like college is when I started listening to Fall Out Boy's albums. Originally kind of like whatever, but then like as they came out with new ones, I was like, oh, this is moving more in my direction. And then like even Linkin Park started doing production in that direction too, a little. And everyone started doing then the whole like vocal drop thing that's really popular right now, where the beats are made up of little chirps and low like samples of voices and that sort of thing. Yeah, like the last Fall Out Boy album was like full on, like at sometimes just straight up like electronic album of sorts. But yeah, so I don't know where I was going with this, except when you say you never listened to that made me think of this. So
yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, I feel like, Angel, do you have any thoughts on any of these bands, or should we just switch topics?
I mean, now that I know which one was which, I have a lot of fond memories of the Strokes. I feel like we listened to that a lot in middle school, but I think it was like the same. I'm pretty sure it was just like that one album that has
Room on Fire.
Yeah, Room on Fire. I think, yeah. I think
that's the one that has Reptilia on it.
Yeah, Reptilia, Room on Fire. I can't remember any other names off the top of my head, but I mean, those also obviously came up in Guitar Hero and Rock Band. I mean, both of those bands, I mean, I do remember them, and I know I've heard plenty of songs from both of them, but I guess I couldn't tell you
right
specific.
You're not a fan. You're like an acquaintance. You're
a casual listener
with their music.
Well, yeah. I whenever people put it on, I definitely enjoy it, but
we don't seek it out. Yeah.
No, there's just plenty of other things I need to listen.
Like the way you word that, there's things you need to listen to.
It's kind of like a TV show. Like right now, like you're currently going through different things that you're discovering. Like right now, I'm currently going through different Godzilla movie soundtracks. Like right now, I'm in the Shin Godzilla one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Cool.
Yeah, mini soundtracks. It's a lot of soundtracks.
Right.
All right. Perfect. All right.
With some Final Fantasy sprinkled in there. I keep looping.
There we go.
I keep looping in the main battle theme. There's 2 battle themes that I'm listening to like almost like on loop. But
do you know which
so
one?
Good. I don't remember the names off the top of my head. I could like do the jingle, but
please do. Yes, do that.
I know when it comes out like the dun 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 da da da. I think it's called Ready to Fight or something like that.
Oh, I think that's Final Fantasy VII.
No, that's right. They're two songs from the Final Fantasy VII remake I've just been listening to on loop with the Godzilla. Yeah, pretty much they're 2 most iconic ones besides One Winged Angel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say.
I gotta say, Kevin, doing this random like Quarantine Chronicle podcast, good idea, because first episode, we already got Angel to sing, and we have the phrase "canisters of semen" already on record. So like, we're off to a killer start here.
Oh, I got the name for this episode, baby.
Yep, I think so.
All right. Take us home by talking to us about a little anime, Angel.
Oh man, I'm gonna say kind of anticlimactic. I mean, just because of the way I'm gonna describe it, but I don't know. I watch a lot of different types of anime. Like I love my super action oriented one. There's some that can be gory. There are some that are also like on the complete opposite spectrum and very slice of life. And this falls more in line with that. It's like a weird fusion between my obsession with, and I know I've said it before, but it seems like my favorite genre of anime seems to revolve around food in some way. My favorite being Yakitaki Japan, which revolves around bread making. And then also love Food Wars, which is pretty much the same bread making one, except they center around every kind of culinary practice. But they're basically tournament animes. But this one was recommended to me by a coworker, and I just really love seeing stories about like the main character struggling and just working really hard and just kind of trying to achieve a goal. But
the underdog story.
Yeah, it's kind of like the underdog, but this character, like he's like, it's not a tournament anime. He doesn't have a defined goal. Like it's about a middle schooler that, I guess it's more common in Japan or maybe just in this world. I mean, this anime is set in the real world, as in like it's very grounded. There's no magic. There's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just, a slice of life. And he has a lot of issues with his parents, and he just wants to leave. He just wants to go as far away as possible, so he applies to a high school that's as far away from his house as possible, and it just happens to be a school that revolves around agriculture. So he pretty much just learns how to, like work with dairy cows, pigs, horses. And what I love about these types of animes is that just like the food ones, they go into so much detail, and that detail is always like genuine. Like they legitimately tell you like what it takes to create a certain dish, what it takes to get these horses and these cows and the food that you eat on the table. And it always gives you like a newfound appreciation for it. And I don't know, it's very nice. But I mean, the story is also like very heartwarming and also oddly very relatable at times, just because, I mean, yeah, it's about a kid that just doesn't even know what he wants to do for the rest of his life. So he's just kind of going through it, kind of focusing on his energy on helping everyone around him, even though it usually ends up hurting him a lot. And I don't know, it's weird because it's definitely the most different from other animes I've watched, but somehow just really, really liked it for just how grounded it was. And I don't know, I feel like if you just need like a break from, these crazier anime that are, you hear about the My Hero Academias, the Demon Slayers and whatnot. I feel this is one that I guess would easily get overlooked. And I guess it did because it came out in 2015.
I thought this was new.
It came out in 2013, actually. I think it ended its run in 2015, and they finished it like with 2 seasons. And it only made its way, I think, like 80 chapters in, which I guess is about half of the manga run. And the manga has officially concluded with a defining ending. And the English translated version, apparently the final chapter is about to release. I say about. Well, I guess it's going to release in September. So, since I really, really enjoyed it, and I really want to know how it ends, because it ends in kind of like a cliffhanger, like, wait, what happens? Like, what about this character? And I don't know, like, the drama gets pretty real, like, and kind of heavy. Not like in a... I mean, there is a very light romance element to it, but it's, like, kind of secondary to everything. But, I mean, it kind of goes through, like, the real struggles of... like less fortunate people that don't have as much money. Like you see like what kind of happens when people have to sell off their farms and the impact that happens on like the ranch and the kids and everything. And it could be kind of a downer, not to mention like the kid, like he ends up like naming a pig and he actually has to end up eat it. No. Yeah.
Oh.
Just because like because they tell him like don't name a pig, you're gonna get attached to it, and obviously he names it and he gets attached to it, and then comes the day when they have to like send them off to the slaughterhouse, and he ends up like, like I am gonna buy this pig, like I don't want it to just die, like if it's gonna die, I want me to be the one to, I guess, buy the meat, and yeah, it dives into something. It makes you think. I really like it for that. It makes you reevaluate a lot of things in a good way. I feel like on a good way, but it can also be pretty funny at times too. So it's not always like a depressing, like, oh man, life sucks kind of thing. It's a little bit of both. That's why I really wanted to point it out, just because it's very different. It's like normally I don't watch slice of life, at least not like to this grounded of a level. There's always some kind of crazy twist to them if there isn't a magical or crazy element to them. But I was really happy I watched this.
Well, I'm happy that you talked about it, because at least we didn't have to end on that sour note.
Yeah,
the killer's not. See, you
but
called it anticlimactic.
But we have a more sour note of a kid had a pet pig he had to kill.
Fine. So he didn't kill the pig. The pig went to the slaughterhouse, and then he got the meat later. But it was still kind of bittersweet.
Well, that's almost worse. Like, here's my bacon. Pig, but now he strips of bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I would say that's more depressing than the killers, Kevin.
I mean, like the heartwarming fact of it's a life lesson, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, life lessons.
What else do you want me? Yeah,
no,
life
there's
lessons
nothing else.
With the random Nintendo crew.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess just to let people, that's our first episode. Yeah,
that's our first episode.
It's worth mentioning this does not mean anything's changing with our other show, the real Random Nintendo podcast, opposed to the Quarantine Chronicles that this is. That's still going on. So I want us to listen to this. Tune in on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the Sunday Memorial Day weekend, the 24th. The 24th. And that will be our next normal episode of the podcast in the way that you are familiar. But this will become a new parallel normal in due time. So... Kevin, as our go-to guy, do you want to spout off all the platforms you can hear us, or do you want me to do the honors?
No, I think I've heard you say it enough.
All right, let's go. Let's see if you got this.
Right.
Go for it.
Subscribe to our podcast
fill in the blanks
on
if you forget
Spotify,
one.
Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google, Stitcher,
Spotify.
No, I already said Spotify.
YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube, we're Random Nintendo Comp.
Correct. And we're also on Twitter at...
We're at Random Nintendo. My name's you guys suck. You can follow us on our individual Twitter's, I don't even know where to go from here. I'm KVN Gomi, Gomie. Jason is JSR7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Angel. I have no idea.
Really, dude? WEIRO_O. Where?
It's really the E and the I. The E and the I's always get me.
So I, for 9 years, have been doing that with that same rhythm. WEIRO_O.
WEIRO_. Wow, I don't
Underscore
think
O.
I've ever said
And
that.
EO and wait, EIEIO and
EIO. Speaking of farms.
yeah. Wait, so how's this work, Kevin? If you're like the ringleader here, who has final word? Angel? Me? No one? A pig?
We'll leave it to. I don't know. How do you guys? Here, we're flipping a coin live.
Wow.
All right.
Why don't we ask? I have Siri right here. I can ask Siri to flip a coin for us.
Well,
so
I was
people
going to ask
can-
my Siri, but okay.
Oh, go for it.
I could just
Yeah,
flip
I'll
an
ask her
actual
because it's between
coin.
you two.
No, because no one can hear the coin result.
Yes, you can. I
No,
can
you
let
just
it.
hear
I'll
a
let it hit
thud.
the floor. Look, I'll let it hit the floor.
Flip a coin.
Tails.
Oh, I didn't say who was tails and who was heads.
I also didn't pick a side.
You know what? We were pretty smooth sailing for most of this podcast. And of course, the last minute is where it all just falls apart.
I mean, it wouldn't be a show
Okay.
run by us if.
True.
Me
very true.
heads, Jason tails. I'm
Okay.
flipping it right now. Oh, it's heads.
Okay.
So who's who? So
Angel gets final word.
Angel, take us out.
That's all, folks.
But they killed that pig.